You're listening to The Awcast, the most awesome wrestling podcast you'll ever listen to, at least in the confines of my own mind. Let's go. And welcome back to Aftershock Wrestling Entertainment. Welcome back to The Awcast. I am your host, Brant Fowler, and we've got a lot to talk about. Death Before Dishonor was last week. SummerSlam is this week. Lots of stuff going on, some big news that I haven't had a chance to talk about. But before we get into all that, I do want to, as usual, remind you that if you want to watch past episodes of the show, you can visit the YouTube channel via allpodcast.com. That's awepodcast.com. That'll take you to the YouTube channel where you can watch all the past episodes, or you can find the audio version at allpodcast.com/show. And you can subscribe to the newsletter at allpodcast.com/subscribe and get a free AEW fan-made comic by creator Todd Black. And of course, you can follow me on all the social media at The Awcast. That's Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And so do all that. Check it all out. And let's get into this because we got a lot to talk about. Before I do get into all those topics, though, I do want to kind of address where I see the show going, at least for the foreseeable future. It's been a while since my last episode, and just life and work and different things have gotten in the way. And every time I've had a free moment, I just haven't felt like doing it, to be honest. So, and when I started off with this podcast, I made the proclamation that it wasn't going to be on any regularly released schedule, at least for now. But internally, in my mind, I had still wanted to try to get it up every week or every other week, and it just hasn't worked out that way. So what I've kind of found myself doing is centering around pay-per-views or premium live events or big things that happen in the world of wrestling that, you know, garner an episode or a topic. So I think for now, that's kind of what I'm going to do. That's the direction I'm going to go. I'm going to center this around pay-per-views, premium live events, whatever you want to call them, and other things like that. So that's why you're hearing from me in the middle of Death Before Dishonor and SummerSlam, because those are the latest two big events, right? So I think that's a pretty decent format. I'm not going to stick to the, okay, here's my predictions and here's the, you know, what happened afterwards, because I think that gets a little formulaic and a little boring. So I'm going to try to mix some recent news, recent topics, recent discussion into the mix with all that, and still kind of talk about that stuff, but not make the shows all about, hey, here's my SummerSlam predictions. Hey, was I right? You know, I don't want to do that every single event because that's going to get boring for you and for me. So we're going to mix it up a little bit. So this time I'm talking about Death Before Dishonor, I'm talking about SummerSlam, I'm talking about Vince McMahon, the new regime going on in WWE, and other stuff as well. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm going with the podcast for now. So hopefully that sounds good to you, and we'll see how it goes, and we'll see how regular I can keep these things. But for now, let's talk about the elephant in the room. Vince McMahon. Now, I haven't done a podcast since the allegations came out. No, that's not true. I did, but I kind of skirted the issue. I said I wasn't going to talk about it. But, I'm still not going to talk about that particular issue. But in light of the recent news that he has officially retired, it's something I never thought would happen. Honestly, I thought until the day he could no longer function, he would be at the head of that company. But he's also a smart businessman, and he also realizes that in the situation that he was in, maybe the best thing for the company, best thing for the business, or maybe he didn't realize that, maybe the board realized that. I don't know. I'm not there. But that, maybe him stepping aside and probably still having a voice behind the scenes that we don't know about particularly would probably be the better thing for the business going forward, and the better thing, quite frankly, for eventually selling the business, as has been rumored for years now that has been the plan, right? That's been on all the dirt sheets and stuff, as much as you can trust dirt sheets and that kind of thing. But I know there's a lot of valuable reporting going on there too, and inside sources and things like that. Not everything is true. Not everything you hear on this podcast is true. Everything on this podcast is just an opinion. I have no facts. I'm corroborating nothing. These are my opinions and my opinions alone. Just putting that out there. But it's kind of surreal to think about a WWE without Vince McMahon at the helm. It's weird, but it's in good hands. Triple H, his son-in-law, Stephanie, his daughter, have stepped up into their roles, and they're going to be shepherding the company. But keep in mind that these two are very much under the wing of Vince McMahon. Not saying that they don't have their own ideas. I think NXT proves that Triple H had some ideas that were going against the grain, and in my opinion proven to work, even though maybe Vince and other people at the company didn't quite see it that way. I think NXT paved the way for an AEW, honestly. I think NXT was something that fans were missing, and it gave fans a different type of product within the same system. It's just the mishandling of all those wrestlers when they came up to the main roster that was the problem, with very few exceptions. But I also haven't talked about the Sasha and Naomi thing since it first happened, and I kind of half expected it to get worked out, but it hasn't, and they've been removed, and who knows what the future holds for Sasha Banks and Naomi. Sasha Banks is going to be okay, like I said previously. Naomi, I hope Naomi's okay. They're both super talented, and they both deserve more than they got. And I kind of love Paige's tweet, or Saraya, when it was rumored that Brock Lesnar left SmackDown last week, and she kind of tweeted, "Well, Michael Cole better get on there and say that he's being unprofessional and letting fans down." That is absolutely true. It is kind of a double standard, depending on who you are, where you're at. But I especially in the case of Sasha Banks, I think she's more than proven herself worthy of more respect. Naomi has as well. I'm just saying Sasha is a bigger star in terms of stardom and following and all of that. But anyway, I digress. So, interesting times in WWE for sure. Some interesting things going on. If you're a fan of comic books and podcasts, you should check out Comic Book Weekly, Comic Frontline's podcast all about the world of comics, where we share our top 5 comics of the week, talk about the latest news in the industry, and interact with our viewers live each and every Tuesday night at 10:15 p.m. Eastern Time. You can check us out at youtube.com/Comic Frontline or search for Comic Book Weekly on YouTube. But let's rewind back to last week, back with Death Before Dishonor. I did get to watch this. It was a really good pay-per-view. They're saying I think it was the biggest pay-per-view in Ring of Honor history. It was obviously, as they mentioned during the commentary, that it's an AEW house, but it's Ring of Honor, athletes, rules, all that stuff. And it felt like it, though. It felt like an AEW put on show, produced show, but with Ring of Honor talent, Ring of Honor gimmicks, Ring of Honor everything, pretty much, and just taken up to another level. And I am going to address something about the AEW factor in that in a minute, but just overall talking about the show, I think this was a great way to showcase the Ring of Honor talent, or at least a portion of them, and also kind of marry them to the AEW brand, because they are part of that brand now. and kind of getting people familiar. I think the commentary team did a phenomenal job of kind of introducing the new fan, the AEW fan, to the Ring of Honor style and the Ring of Honor athletes. I think they did a really great job at that. And I obviously have watched some Ring of Honor. I haven't watched a whole lot of Ring of Honor. So some people I know, some people I don't. And I think the ones that I didn't, that they did a great job at introducing me to those athletes as well. So, I thought it was pretty cool. And, like I said, the show was stacked top to bottom. I did not get to see the pre-show. So I did not get to see Colt Cabana versus Anthony Henry. I did not get to see the Trustbusters versus the Shadow Squad. And I did not get to see the Embassy versus Alex Zane, Blake Christian, and Tony Deppen, unfortunately. I will have to go back and watch that for sure. Because, there's a lot of people in there that I like. Colt Cabana I like, Ari Daivari I like Brian Cage and the Gates of Agony. And Tony Deppen, the only time I've seen him is a couple episodes of NXT as part of I can't think of his name. The Dons group, right? That's who that is. If I'm not mistaken. If I am, you can correct me. But anyway, I did see all the... and also Willow Nightingale and Allison Kay. I didn't get to see that match either. But I did get to see all the main card. Again, that was stacked top to bottom. They start with the World Championship. Claudio Castagnoli faces Jonathan Gresham, which I didn't even know this match was happening. I guess I missed that part. On AEW programming, they were really pushing Wheeler Yuta's match, defending the Pure Championship against Daniel Garcia, and they were pushing, Samoa Joe defending the television title against Jay Lethal, and then FTR and the Briscoes too. Those were the matches that they were pushing hard on AEW programming, and I guess if they did announce this one, I missed it completely. But anyway, it was a nice treat for me coming into it and seeing Claudio Castagnoli challenge for the Ring of Honor Championship. He's never held a World Championship. He was undervalued, underappreciated in WWE. I think AEW's done a great job with him since he's come on board, and now putting the Ring of Honor title on him. It's well deserved for Claudio, especially with his history with Ring of Honor, and I do feel for Gresham, and I'll like I said, I'll address that in a minute because there's the stuff going around about that and other talent as well. But yeah, it was a really good match. I thought, Claudio starts off hot every time he steps in that ring, but Gresham was ready for him, and I like that. I like the energy, the speed, the excitement that Claudio brings to a match. That's one of the things I loved about Cesaro. And Gresham, as good as he is, he's not exciting. You know what I mean? His technical prowess is fun to watch, but I don't get hyped. It's a slow, methodical kind of pace, and if you have him against another slow, methodical kind of wrestler, especially in the like the pure rules and stuff like that, for me, those matches are a little harder to watch. They're a little I don't want to say boring, but just less exciting. So when you pair him up with somebody like Claudio, and those technical skills can be on show, but the pace is quickened or the pace is going back and forth, it just makes a little bit more of an interesting matchup, I think, no matter who wins. But in this case, Claudio won, and Gresham was visibly upset at the end of this match, and it did not seem like an act. And as we find out later, it wasn't. So, yeah. I'll talk about all that after this. I just wanted to talk about a couple of matches I really like. Dalton Castle and the Boys. I'd seen Dalton Castle wrestle. I'd never seen this particular pairing, and I'd seen Vincent in Impact, but I'd never seen him actually wrestle in Ring of Honor. I didn't know he had a faction and all that. So this was a good match. It was a fun match. The multiplying boys, all that stuff. Fun stuff. Wheeler Yuta and Daniel Garcia put on a clinic. These two were just hammering each other left and right. Wheeler, I think every match he gets better and better and better and shows his worth. And, you know, like the first time I saw him, it was like he already had some popularity from other places he had been, but I had no idea who he was. And still, when I saw him wrestle, it was like, okay, well, that it's cool, but I'm not seeing anything that's like making him stand out. But when he paired with the BCC, the Blackpool Combat Club, another side of him came out that showed me, oh, that's what they mean. That's what they're talking about. So I saw him in a new light, and ever since then, he's just grown and grown and grown, and his mat game, his power game, his aerial game, he's excelling at it all and doing a really good job. And Daniel Garcia, again, he's another one that I wasn't a believer at the beginning, and I think slowly every match he's getting better and better and stronger and more confident. And yeah, these two are two people to definitely watch. And they put on a great show. Rush and Dragon Lee, oh my goodness. I had seen Rush a few times in Ring of Honor, teaming with Dragon Lee and their father. And I, you know, of course, I've seen him in AEW since he's come on board with El Idolo. But seeing him and his brother just like go out there and be like, you know what, let's just throw it all out there. Don't care who we're facing. Let's, you know, who can you hurt better than your own brother in that way, though, right? So it's that kind of thing. So they were not pulling punches at all once the match really got started. I had actually seen the meme, or not the meme, but the clip going around before I actually watched the pay-per-view, because I watched it a little bit late. I watched the replay, and I think it was Rush, or no, it was, I forget who it was diving. I think it was Dragon Lee diving at Rush. Said he's dead, or maybe it was vice versa. I don't remember. One of them was sitting on the table. The other one, I think it was Dragon Lee crashed through Rush through the table, and it was like, he's dead. You know, it was that kind of thing. It was just this bullet flying out of there, Darby Allin style, if you will. It was something to watch. It was a really good match, and of course, you know, Samoa and Jay, they put on a good show. These are two guys I've been watching since the early days of TNA. So it's kind of that feud playing out for me. I didn't get to see a lot of Jay Lethal in Ring of Honor, and I never saw Samoa Joe in Ring of Honor. So seeing them both under that banner and knowing the history there and knowing the history of these two in various companies, it was a treat to watch. It was a good match. It was a solid match. But, you know, of course, the match that stole the show was the main event, and it was the main event with good reason, FTR versus the Briscoes. The Briscoes are not a team that I have a lot of history with. I have not watched a lot of Briscoe brothers matches. I've watched a few, and they're good, but I didn't watch enough of them to understand how good they are. FTR, I didn't get how good they were based on their WWE run either. I didn't see much of them in NXT. And when they were on the main roster of WWE, they were so misused that I didn't get a good feel of what kind of team they were. But everything they've done in AEW since has shown me exactly who FTR is and why people think they're one of the best teams in the world. And this match, seeing the Briscoes versus FTR, showed me why both of these teams are considered some of the best in the world. And they put on just one heck of a show. I mean, there were times I didn't know who was going to win. I mean, any of these guys could have been put down 10 times over, and they just kept going and going. And I know they had to be exhausted. I love the passion from both of these teams, not just for wrestling, but for tag team wrestling. I absolutely love it. I was in love with this match. This is contender for match of the year for me. I mean, this was a really good tag team match. Absolutely. Really good matchup overall. So I really enjoyed Death Before Dishonor, and I can't wait to see how the Ring of Honor brand grows from here. Because I think it's just the sky's the limit. And I can't wait to see what they do. So let's address Jonathan Gresham and ask him for his, supposedly asking for his AEW / Ring of Honor release. Done with wrestling for now. These are what the dirt sheets are saying. And something occurred to me as I'm watching this, and as all the champions come out and salute each other, and I'm like, wait a minute. Television champion, AEW guy. Pure champion, AEW guy. Ring of Honor champion, AEW guy. Ring of Honor tag team champions, Ring of Honor guys. Ring of Honor women's champion, AEW woman. I mean, almost every single championship in Ring of Honor is held by an AEW talent. And I know some people will see that as a problem. See that as a disrespect to the Ring of Honor talent. And I could understand the frustration being a Ring of Honor talent and being someone that has been carrying that title, that banner in the lapse, in the time where Ring of Honor went on hiatus and then were bought and defending that title in Impact and AEW and various other places. I can understand the frustration behind these athletes that feel like they're not getting their just due, and I can't speak to their mindsets. I can't speak to what's going on behind the scenes. I can't speak to any of that because I'm not there. So anything I say is speculation and opinion. I just want to put that out there right at the beginning. But at the same time, I can see the logic behind taking known commodities that AEW has pushed or inherited or brought over from WWE. These are known people. These are known around the world, not just to the Ring of Honor fans, but also to the AEW fans, to the wide world of wrestling fans that know them from other places. Most of these people they know from other places. Wheeler Yuta, obviously, an exception there. But, Claudio, long tenure in WWE, FTR, a pretty solid run in WWE despite how misused they were, but they were known. Mercedes Martinez, both NXT and very briefly on the main roster, and also had that Impact run, an AEW run. People know her from there, and obviously Samoa Joe. Everybody knows who Samoa Joe is at this point. So these are known people, and a lot of them have a connection to Ring of Honor. They have a past there, some of them at least. So it kind of makes sense if you're trying to rebrand and rebirth Ring of Honor and elevate it, that you would take known people that AEW fans are used to and familiar with and kind of elevate that brand, push that brand. And then once people are used to the idea of Ring of Honor as this separate thing, then you can start bringing up the Ring of Honor talent to best them, and then they stand on their own. And I feel like this was kind of the purpose of the partnership with Impact, where Kenny Omega and Christian Cage came in and became Impact champion and kind of elevated that a little bit, trying to get more people to be aware and know the Impact stars and that kind of thing. And it just, that marriage kind of fizzled out a little bit, whereas the Ring of Honor one, because Tony Khan has control over Ring of Honor now, you can do that a little bit more smoothly. And that, at least that's in my thinking, how I would personally handle it, and how I think maybe Tony Khan is kind of envisioning it. Elevate it with known commodities, and then in the meantime show all these Ring of Honor talents like Roosh, like all the people that he's brought on, even Gresham, that's brought onto AEW programming and introduced the world to people that maybe they didn't know before. And then they can start winning the championships and start being known, and then you're like, oh, that's why they're the champion, because they beat freaking Claudio Castagnoli. That's why they're the tag team champions, because they beat FTR, who holding 3 titles right now. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of elevating everybody, but for the interim, all the AEW guys have the titles. So there's 2 minds in it, and you could look at it multiple ways, I'm sure. I can understand the logic, and I appreciate it, and if that is the way it's going, I kind of agree with it. But I don't want to see anybody feel frustrated in their job and feel, like they're losing their passion for the business and not being appreciated and feeling like they're being pushed to the bottom or to the background. I can completely understand that, and I can completely understand wanting to get out of those kind of situations. So it's, it's always in any kind of business, in any kind of merger like this, where one company is absorbed by the other one, there's going to be this kind of thing going on. Not everybody's going to make the cut, and some people are going to get, from the parent company, now we're going to get maybe not favoritism, but they're known commodities, that kind of thing. So yeah, it's going to be touchy, and it's going to be something to watch going forward. But that's really all I got to say about that. I think I've said it a few times, a few different ways, so there's no reason to kind of keep going on that train of thought. So let's shift gears to SummerSlam, which is tomorrow. Hey, do you like free stuff? You can get a free digital fan-made AEW comic from creator Todd Black just by signing up for our VIP mailing list at subscribepage.com/free-AEW comic. You'll also receive periodic updates about content coming to you from the Allcast and exclusive offers. So go sign up and get your free comic today. Hopefully it's tomorrow. Hopefully I get this podcast up today on Friday as I'm recording this Friday morning. So SummerSlam, Saturday, July 30th. We'll say that. And it's an interesting card. One match has already been scrapped because Riddle's, what's being reported as a kayfabe injury, which I kind of thought it probably was to begin with, just because of the nature of the injury and what happened on Raw. So he gets stomped on the stairs, and his chest is draped around one of the steps, and so I guess he had an injury to his chest, basically a stinger in his chest. It was, I forget, brachial plexus. Plexus is the area below your chest, the solar plexus area. Something there. I don't know. I'm not a doctor. But anyway, it just seemed like, okay, he got stumped on his head and he took a few headshots, but his injuries to his chest, that isn't. Okay, whatever. So I kind of felt like it was probably kayfabe. But the reasoning behind it was kind of surprising for me, at least what's kind of being reported. So this match is supposedly postponed. Seth Rollins versus Matt Riddle, at SummerSlam is postponed until a further date. Now the rumors going around is that they've decided to save it for Clash at the Castle instead of SummerSlam. I was thinking when I heard this news that, so Seth Rollins is going to not have an opponent, and this is going to be the return of Randy Orton to kind of avenge his tag team partner, his bro. I guess they're not doing that, though. I don't know what Randy Orton's status is at this point, so I don't know. But I thought that would have been a cool way to go, but it doesn't seem like they're going that way, and probably because they already have one return planned, I would assume, and that's Edge. You have Judgment Day versus the Mysterios. I personally think one of two things is going to happen. Either either the Judgment Day is going to be post-match attacking the Mysterios, have them in a precarious situation, and the new old Edge, rated R Edge, is going to come out and save them, or one of the Mysterios is going to get taken out and Edge is going to be Ray's partner again or something, as he has been in the past. Who knows? We'll see what happens, but I think they've been really heavily building up Edge's return with these promos, and they ran one on Raw. It was very Judgment Day heavy on Raw, so it just seems like the perfect opportunity to pull that trigger. And I think Edge shows up some way and interferes in that match, or comes in the aftermath, one way or the other. Edge is coming back at SummerSlam. That's my prediction. But yeah, so we got that match. And hopefully then we can move forward with that program. And I don't know what happens. Like, it is Edge. I mean, if it's Edge and the Mysterios, then they're outnumbered unless they're going to do mixed tag matches and have Rhea join in with the 5 men, or Judgment Day's adding a third person, or Dom is going to turn on Ray. I don't know. We'll see what happens. It's going to be fun to figure it out. We also have Logan Paul and The Miz, and I thought it was interesting that it really did seem like The Miz was getting cheered and Logan Paul was getting booed, and I know internally that's what I was doing. I don't like Logan Paul. I think he's a good athlete. He's taken to the business. He seems to respect it. Seems to be, he's definitely somebody that's going to get some viewers in. That's fine and well. I like The Miz. I don't know. I'm rooting for The Miz. That's all I'm going to say. I don't think The Miz is going to win. There's no way The Miz wins this match. But I'm still rooting for him because I like The Miz. I've always liked The Miz. Ever since Real World, I've liked The Miz. Anyway. We've got the Usos defending the Undisputed Tag Team Championships versus the Street Profits, with Jeff Jarrett, of all people, as the special guest referee. When I heard that, I was like, why? How does that make sense? And then I was like, oh, it's in Tennessee. Okay, now it makes sense. That's the only reason it makes sense. Otherwise, why in the world is Jeff Jarrett there? So whatever. He's there. Who knows if he's going to call it down the middle or if he's got an agenda. But these two teams have fought so much. I think now's the time the Street Profits win the titles. They're taking them. Which will lead me to the main event, but I'm not going to go there yet because we got to talk about a couple other matches. We got Pat McAfee versus Happy Corbin. Pat McAfee takes this match hands down, no questions about it. I like Pat McAfee. I think he's great. I hated him in NXT because I like the Undisputed Era. And I didn't like him coming in as somebody that wasn't a wrestler. He played me like a fiddle, honestly. I became a mark a little bit during that whole feud, but I thought he really sold it. And since he's been on SmackDown, he's just so fun, so entertaining, and he's a pretty decent wrestler too. So I like Baron Corbin too, though. I'm one of the guys that actually thinks he's really talented, and I think he takes whatever he's given and turns it into gold these days. His original gimmick didn't really get over, and he adjusted, and everything he's done, he's been able to get it over some way, some shape, some form. And this is going to be a good matchup. It's going to be back and forth, but McAfee's going to pull it out, I think. So then we've got Bobby Lashley and Theory for the United States Championship. It's hard to know. I can't talk about this match without talking about the main event, so I'm going to save that for a second, because we have Liv Morgan and Ronda Rousey. This one I'm so torn on. Liv Morgan winning that title was a fairy tale. It was a dream come true. It was like Daniel Bryan. It was just one of those things. It's like you're rooting for. You don't think it's ever going to happen, but then it happens. And it's like you don't want it to go away now. You want Liv to keep that title. You want Liv to show that she's a fighter, that she can defend this title. But her first, I don't remember if it's her first defense or not, but no, I think she defended against Natalya. But she's defending against Ronda Rousey early on in her run, and it makes me scared unless Ronda's going away, which I don't know. I don't typically read the dirt sheets, so I don't know what's going on with Ronda Rousey and her status with WWE. So I'm worried that as fast as Liv got that title, she's going to lose it. And she won it with the Money in the Bank, and with Ronda being injured, she hasn't beaten her standing face to face and 100%. So it's if Liv wins, then they've really put a rocket on her back and put a lot of faith in her to carry that title. B, I don't know where I was going with that. I totally lost my train of thought. I guess that's it. Yeah, so that would be what I'd want to happen. I don't know if it's going to happen. I have no prediction for this. I don't know what's going to happen. This one's got me thrown because, if you're talking real fighting, Ronda Rousey can probably beat the crap out of Liv Morgan. But Liv Morgan is an underdog, and who doesn't love a good underdog story? So, I don't know. I'm rooting for Liv to win this. I really am. I hope she just won't stop. Won't give up when she's in a submission. Won't stay down when she's pinned. Just cannot be beat because her heart's too big. That's kind of the story that I want to see in this match. And then we have the other women's championship, Bianca Belair defending against Becky Lynch. If Becky Lynch wins, that doesn't make sense to me. This is a match a year in the making. After last year's SummerSlam when Becky came in and embarrassed Bianca in 26 seconds, there needs to be redemption for that. Yes, their feud has been ongoing since. It's gone back and forth between the two, but this is where it happened. You know what I mean? It was SummerSlam. It needs to go down to SummerSlam again, and Bianca needs this victory. She does. Now, there's rumors that Bayley's going to return. Which brand she's going to be on, where she's going to interject herself, I don't know. If I had to make a guess, I would say it would be with Becky and Bianca because that's the bigger feud. But again, it could be with Liv and Ronda. I don't know, and that would be fun to watch. We haven't seen Bayley in a long time, and I think the women's division could use an injection of another top heel. You got Becky on Raw, put Bayley on SmackDown. It makes sense to me. So interject her after the match, or maybe she costs Ronda that would be an interesting way to go. Maybe she costs Ronda the match so that she could challenge Liv because she thinks Liv's the easier foe. That would be an interesting way to go. I could see that happening. So let's get back to Bobby Lashley and Theory, which will lead into, of course, the last match, last man standing, Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar, Universal Undisputed WWE World Heavyweight Championship. Last time these two are supposedly going to fight. And, so this could go multiple ways. If Theory wins the United States Championship, I think he does not try to cash in. He holds that title. He holds the case. He doesn't. Because why? Why would he need both titles? So, if it goes that way, then I don't think you have anything to worry about. I think he'd come down maybe and then would change his mind or something like that. But I don't see it going that way. I think Bobby Lashley retains, keeps his championship. And so Theory's like, well, I got to do something. I got to get gold. So I got this case. I'm going to go down there. And that's dependent on what happens with Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar, because I think if Roman Reigns wins, Theory doesn't cash in. They're not going to have him beat Brock Lesnar just to lose to Theory and break his 700-day streak, right? But What they could do is have Roman lose to Brock Lesnar and then Theory cash in on Brock. And then you've got Brock and Roman coming after Theory. I don't know. I don't know what Roman's doing right now. I don't know if he's taking time off after this. I don't know if Brock's disappearing for another year. I don't know what's going on. But that's kind of what I think is going to happen, though. I think Bobby Lashley retains. And then Theory's like desperate. He's got it. He wants that gold. He wants that fame. He wants that money. And so he's going to come cash in. And Roman, he's been on a heck of a run. 699 days. 700 would be the next day, the very next day. And Brock Lesnar, like Paul Heyman pointed out, is a guy that breaks streaks, a guy that breaks records, a guy that knocks people down a notch when they're at their top success. So I think Brock beats him. And then Theory cashes in on Brock and becomes the world champion. That's, if they're going to go for a cash in and not have that Money in the Bank case, because we've already seen the women's cash in. Maybe they want to cash them in both this time and do something different this year. Who knows? That's kind of what I see happening. And I think that would be an interesting way to go. And then you have both of them chasing, or Roman just like walks away. He's like frustrated. He's done. Who knows? Who knows how it's going to go? It would be funny. I don't think this is what's going to happen, but it would be funny if, and you really could go this way, because there's also the Dolph Ziggler factor that I wasn't considering. You could go this way that Theory loses the U.S. Championship match, comes down to cash in, and just as he's about to win it, Dolph Ziggler shows up and super kicks him and costs it. And so he's lost everything. Vince McMahon's gone. He didn't get his U.S. title back. He's lost his Money in the Bank case because he failed to cash in because of Dolph Ziggler. So you start this long feud between those two. That could be interesting. That could be an interesting way to go. So I don't know. I don't know what they're doing with Dolph, because he made a heck of a tag team with AJ Styles. I will say that. But I don't see that lasting. So we'll see. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun trying to figure out which direction they're going to go and just watching and see what happens. So what I am going to be disappointed about, though, is if none of this happens. And it's just like, it's just standard. And everybody that typically wins and all this stuff. And no surprises and all that stuff. And you never know with WWE if they're going to shock you or if they're just going to bore you. Unfortunately, not bore you, but just kind of play it safe. You just don't know. So it will be interesting to watch. I'm going to be there. I'm going to be watching. I'm going to be excited about it. But that's my thoughts on SummerSlam going into the event. And that's really all I got for you this time. I've gone almost 45 minutes with this one. So I think it's about time to wrap this one up. Plus, I'm also getting a little hoarse. And, anything else I say, I think I'm just going to be starting to talk in circles. So let's wrap this one up. Want to remind you one more time that you can find past episodes of the show at awepodcast.com. That's awepodcast.com. That will take you to the YouTube channel. And by the way, speaking of the YouTube channel real quick, because I forgot to mention this at the beginning, I am in the process of switching computers, and that's why you're not getting a video version of this. Well, you're getting video, but it's just audio. It's not me, my face. You're not seeing me in the YouTube version of this particular episode, because I've been having some streaming issues with this computer, and I just had a new computer built, and I'm in the process of switching everything over, so hopefully I'll get back to the video side of the content soon, but for now, this is what you got. But anyway, you can find those episodes, allpodcast.com, and if you want to just stick with the audio version, allpodcast.com/show will take you to all those past episodes as well. Or you can find it on iTunes, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts from. And you can subscribe to the newsletter at allpodcast.com/subscribe. And follow me on social media at the Awcast. So with that said, thank you for listening. Keep watching wrestling and stay awesome. Take care. Bye.